You haven't really played a first-person shooter until you played one on the Wii. What we've got here is one incredible first-person shooter for the Wii, and even though it's based on the ever-played-out World War II era, the game is still incredible. Let me first introduce you to this game with its story. There isn't anything really new here. It's World War II. The Axis forces have invaded Europe and you're part of the team, the Allied forces that's here to put a stop to it. Nothing any fan of the World War II genre hasn't heard of. The strong points of the game isn't in its story though. What EA has given us is probably one of the best Medal of Honor games to date. Let me start with the gameplay. The gameplay on a whole is good, but let's first talk about the controls. Medal of Honor Heroes 2 utilizes the Wiimote in a way second to none. Other than what we're used to in other first-person shooters on the Wii, we're given a game with some of the most intuitive controls I've ever experienced. To throw a grenade, you do a throwing motion with the Wiimote. To set timers, you do a twisting motion as if you were turning a knob. The same goes for adjusting radio frequencies. And probably the most entertaining so far is the use of the rocket launchers. You put the Wiimote over your shoulder, turn it in the opposite direction, then press the B button to fire. Believe me, this is even cooler than it sounds. Now if you're not used to the Wiimote, you might find these controls a bit awkward, especially when trying to aim. Not so much with the sniper rifle, but in the heat of battle with the other guns. Because what we have here is a game where the steadiness of your hand in real life will determine your overall accuracy. It's not dependent on how well you control your dual analogs. But I advise you to get used to it, because once you do, there's no turning back. And I'm not saying you won't play first-person shooters on other consoles, but you most certainly will have a completely different outlook on first-person shooters moving forward. The controls aren't perfect though, and sometimes you'll probably get frustrated by how deep into the game EA tries to take you. But when you look at the up points, like the way you control the shotgun, firing with the Wiimote and pumping with the nunchuck, you'll get over the few inconsistencies and perfect this game's imperfections. These imperfections aren't a big deal though. It's like when using the sniper rifle and you choose to go with the twist motion over the distance option for controlling your scope. Sometimes it doesn't work, and the only sprint controls you have are reserved for online play. Still on gameplay, a few things I didn't like. The overall AI in the game was just crazy, not so much the enemy, because the dumber they are is the easier the kill. But your squad members are complete idiots. They really don't serve a purpose. They hardly ever hit a target, and they pretty much never do what you'd like them to. They're like a bunch of cheerleaders. That's all they do. Cheer and shout useless garbage.
Hold up a minute!
And you have no squad controls. You can't issue commands to them. Sometimes you'd like some support, but you end up fending for yourself all the time. The only time you have anything in the way of squad controls is during online play, because you can't talk to each other. EA gives you some preset commands you can issue during play. I also have a small problem with the way checkpoints are issued. It seems unbalanced. I'd prefer it if after every objective you got a checkpoint, but this doesn't always happen. Sometimes you have to wait a pretty long time to see one, and then sometimes they come shortly after each other. Luckily, EA decided to treat all checkpoints as save points, so at least when they do come, they're worth it. The online aspect of Heroes 2 is good. I'm not as crazy about it as other people are though, because like I said, death matches and capture the flag aren't my favorite mode of play, although it's beginning to grow on me. But in Heroes 2, you don't have much online options. Although it's probably enough, you have death matches and team death matches plus capture the flag. This is the first game I believe that offered this on the Wii, and apparently it was long awaited and greatly appreciated, because even though this game has some age on it, if you go online now, I'm sure you'll find many matches to choose from. Word of warning, do not enter these matches as a noob. Hone your skills in the arcade or campaign modes first, or the minute you drop into one of these matches, I guarantee you'll be dropped like a bad habit as soon as you get in. Remember, this isn't your everyday control scheme. The Wii is different. Most of us who play first-person shooters well can join any online game and start taking people out, because the controls are all very similar. But the Wiimote and nunchuck bring to the field a new ball game. And once you become competent in the online world, you'd be surprised how much better you do in the campaign or arcade modes. Online is a true test of skill. Let's talk graphics. These are some really great Wii visuals. Remember, the Wii is treated differently in the game world. Everybody who knows anything about this current generation of consoles knows that the Wii is the weakest in this department, but the Wii makes up for this shortcoming with unique and sometimes excellent gameplay. I guess this is an unwritten rule. So yeah, these are some great Wii graphics. The details in character models and environments as well as weapon designs are all there. The only time I noticed anything really ugly was during online play when you saw your opponents running about. But other than that, the visuals are solid. The audio was good in some places and average in others. The voice acting sounded pretty good, and so did the gun blast and explosions and also the music. It's the same tracks I've grown accustomed to over the years, but that's probably a good thing because when I hear the scores, I'm used to the style, so it reminds me of World War II and helps immerse me in the experience. The bad points of the audio are the repetitive lines the soldiers use, both the Allied and the Axis forces. Even though I don't speak German, I can still hear them repeating the same stuff over and over.
Better get patched up!
And I know there has to be some kind of limitation on the voice tracks, but it's better to have the men keep quiet than to have them repeat the same lines over and over.
Better get patched up!
I'll sum this review up by saying Medal of Honor Heroes 2 is one of the best games I've played on the Wii so far, and one of the best I've played in the series, and I advise anybody who has a Wii to get a copy. Like I said earlier, this game utilizes the Wii controls in a very satisfying way. And even if you don't own a Wii, it's games like these that will make it a wise buy. Maybe you should try and grab one for Christmas. It's a really solid console. The Lab gives Medal of Honor Heroes 2 an 8 out of 10. After the break, it's the Celeb Gamer section, plus some other cool stuff.